Ladies and gentlemen, we are less than 1 week out from one of the largest events for crypto and even for traditional finance. Now, we just got over a major correction in the market. Was it that significant? Not really. I mean, listen, some of these altcoins were down like 10 to 15% today, which technically for some people that might be a big deal. But if we look back at other cycles, we've talked about it. I even just did a live stream recently today where I was talking about how back in 2021, we witnessed altcoins dropping 30, 40, 50% before they rallied to new all-time highs. So I'm not really concerned at all with how the market has been reacting over the last couple of days. I mean, this is typically just a nice little reset in the market, a nice little correction before we get that big impulsive move. Now, in this video, and I know that it kind of sounds like a broken record, but in this video, I really want to address why we are about to witness one of the largest rallies yet this cycle, and also historically for crypto. And again, I know that you guys are probably tired of hearing about that because you just want to see the money. And hey, listen, I'm right there with you. Show me the money, right? But you know, what we have in front of us is every single major signal telling us why we should be bullish right now. So let's actually go over a few things. Number one, let's actually look at price action because again, although we had a nice little sell-off today, Bitcoin barely budged, Ethereum barely budged as well. I mean, listen, on the daily, Ethereum was down like 3 to like 5%, but most altcoins did get an exaggerated drop. XRP, most altcoins actually, I should say, because it's not just XRP. If we actually look at the daily, we could see that there is, double-digit figures down across the board, and this is because, of course, dominance was rising around Bitcoin and Ethereum, which any sort of move on Bitcoin or Ethereum would immediately cause an exaggerated move on altcoins because we're kind of just following them. But the good news is that, guess what? We followed Ethereum today, not Bitcoin, because we are in phase 2 of Altseason. But outside of all of this, if we take a quick look at the coin market cap charts, we could see that it did work. We did see a nice little reset of the market. We're down to about 67 from 70 in terms of greed. I do think that we need a little bit more pain possibly to get a little bit lower, but I'm not too concerned about it. I don't think that we need to see any major significant drawdown. We could just simply chop here and we could see fear and greed reset, but I would like to get through this correction as fast as possible. Like I said, almost every single pullback from this point on will be pretty shallow and short-lived. And so far, this pullback has been pretty shallow. I know that a lot of people will say there's no way that this was a shallow pullback because some of these altcoins, like for example, XRP, I actually have them open over here 1 second. XRP went from the high of like $3.65 down to the low of like $3.07. And, a lot of people are like, what's happening here? This is a crash, right? But this is actually just, a nice little drop, a nice little correction as well. On the daily, we're down about 8.38%, nothing too crazy. On the 7-day, we're still up. On the 1 month, we're still up 50+%. And on the 1 year, we're up over 430 some, percent. So again, this is nothing compared to some of the other pullbacks that we've already witnessed this year. I mean, for an example, here we have another pullback. Here's the initial pullback back in, the beginning of the year. And if we zoom out, again, there was pullbacks leading up to some of the largest rises in the market, even back in 2017, 2018, 2020, into 2021. And just for reference, even Stellar is the same way, right? We've had pullbacks along the way to the tops, but yeah, I mean, some of these altcoins are down, not up on the 7-day. XLM is one that's actually down about 4.82%. But on the 1 month, we're still up 70+%. So like I said, across the board, just nice little reset. The sentiment has been pretty bullish overall, but this is exactly what has to happen in order for us to actually go higher, believe it or not. I know that a lot of people don't understand liquidity, which is, it's okay not to. I do think that everyone should start to really kind of learn more about the market. A lot of you have, and again, that's great, because I think if you are going to be a part of this market, if you're going to be an investor, you should pretty much learn everything that you possibly can about how liquidity works, how the moves in the market work, and things like that. So us having this, sell-off across the board for XRP, XLM, SUI, even HBAR, all of these altcoins sold off today. The entire market did, not just, XRP, HBAR, all of them. Having this move actually allowed us to sweep liquidity, which allows us to actually move even higher going forward. So I'm definitely watching the reaction over the next like 24 to like 48 hours just to kind of see what happens going forward. But you know, some of these altcoins are giving us a nice little opportunity once again. And yeah, I mean, listen, this is definitely something to watch for because this opportunity could probably be the last major one. And when I say major one, I mean just major one before we break over that higher time frame resistance, because that's exactly what ended up happening on all of these altcoin charts, is that we just simply hit higher time frame resistance, we rejected off of it, and now we're just kind of ranging around support. But you know, for the most part, they still look pretty good. And I do want to go over a few things. Number one, when we think about the entire crypto market right now, you know, I am extremely bullish. I have not changed my thought process at all. Leading up to like around April or so, I said July is the time frame to look at for the market to really kind of wake up and alt season to officially start showing signs of life. We got that. Now, going forward, what is my prediction? My prediction is we probably have a cool little August, right? Nothing too crazy in August. I would love for it to be a crazy month, but I don't believe that it's going to be that crazy. We might consolidate a little bit because we already got that nice impulsive move. We might get one impulse on Bitcoin to really kind of go to like $130,000 or so before we chop slightly. And then September, October into December is going to be extremely bullish. And I'm going to go over exactly why. So let's actually start off with why we should be extremely bullish right now. Stocks. Big shout to the Kabaisi letter for this. We have breaking. The S&P 500 breaks above 6350 for the first time in history, now up over 31% since April of this year. We are witnessing one of the best 3-month rallies in history. And yes, this is stocks right now. Now, the crazy part about this is I want to go back to the last V-wave recovery that we've had on stocks, which was back in, you know, January all the way into March of 2020. Guess what? This is when we start to sell off. February of 2020. We start to sell off in February of 2025. We bottomed in March. The rally started towards the end of March. Rally started roughly in the middle towards the end of April. A little time frame difference, but nothing too crazy here. The main thing that I want to watch for is that, you know, how close are we to repeating this? If we are, right, we rallied 120% off of those lows back there. So far, going off of the lows that we created, we're actually up about 31.5%. I don't think that we, you know, run exactly like this back here, like 120%, but half of that, or a little under half of that, would be fine. 55.87%. I told you guys that the next target on the S&P is 6960, but if we actually do a move similar to 2020 into 2021, our target here for the S&P 500 could be $7,500, which is extremely bullish because that's still from our current level about 19% away. Again, stocks have been extremely bullish. This is a huge move on stocks already, but I don't believe that we're close to being topped out here. And the reason why is because the dollar is still extremely weak. We are hearing talks about the Fed cutting rates. The M2 supply just exploded to the upside again. And again, the entire environment around traditional finance and even crypto is extremely bullish still. There is no factors that are telling us that we shouldn't be bullish here. But on top of that, when we think about the risk appetite, we have here from the Kabaisi letter, risk appetite is through the roof. Call options now reflect 68% of all options market volume, the highest since 2021, according to Goldman Sachs. This is only below the meme stock frenzy peak of 72% in 2020 to 2021. By comparison, this percentage hit 42% at the lowest point during the 2022 bear market. Meanwhile, Open Doors open dollar volume traded as a share of its closing market cap hit a record 298%. This is nearly as high as GameStop's GME peak volume of 316% on January 25th of 2021. Speculation is back in full force. And yet, this is telling us that we should be extremely bullish. The reason why risk appetite is this crazy is because of one thing and one thing only, and that's the DXY. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 3-week view of the dollar. The dollar is extremely weak, which is telling us that nobody wants to hodl dollars right now because they know that we're going to see an influx into the M2 supply. In fact, we've already witnessed it. So people are shuffling their dollars into assets. They want to buy assets. They want to look into gold, silver, crypto, stocks, whatever. Assets are the key here. So when we think about the dollar being weak, we should be extremely bullish on risk appetite assets, which is exactly why we're starting to see stocks going crazy. Cryptos right now just brewing, and gold and silver have been doing very well as well. So when we think about this leading into the FOMC meeting, the question is what happens? Well, number one, the FOMC meeting is next week. We are 1 week out officially. Now, FOMC, if we think about it, right, 6 days, 15 hours, we're technically 1 week out. Everyone is wondering what happens. Now, we have over here from Kalshi, Justin, Goldman Sachs expects Fed to begin rate cuts in September. Our traders forecast 20% chance of 0 cuts, 23% chance of 1 cut, 40% chance of 2 cuts, 13% chance of 3 cuts, 6% chance of 4 cuts, 2% chance of 5 cuts. I think we get 3 cuts. And I'm going to go over why here in a second. But what's crazy about this is everyone thinks that we're going to get a cut in July. We're not. We are going to see a pause in July. There's not going to be a rate cut in July. There's only a 2.6% chance of it, unless Jerome Powell, drops a bombshell and says, yeah, we're cutting. We're probably going to see a pause here. But September, 62.8% ease. October, 81.1% ease. And December, a 93.2% ease. That means a rate cut in September, October, and December, just to finish out 2025. This aligns perfectly with what happened in 2024. We go over here. The Federal Reserve started cutting interest rates in September of 2024. Specifically, the first rate cut of 50 basis points was implemented on September 18th of 2024. This marked the first rate cut since March of 2020. The Fed followed this with 2 more rate cuts later in the year on November 7th and another on December 8th. We already know how the market reacted to this. It went insane. But the question here is, what type of basis point cut are we getting here? Are we getting a 1 BPS cut followed by another BPS cut followed by another 1 BPS cut? Like, if we get 1 each of these months to finish out the year with a 3, we're talking about 3 100 basis point cuts, aka 3%. If we get a 3% rate cut to total out the year, that would be extremely bullish. It would wake markets up in a huge way leading into 2026. It would cause a blow off top. It's hard to predict exactly what's going to happen here. Okay. The main thing that we're actually focused on here is just getting a rate cut. I think going off of what we've seen in the past, we probably start off with a 50 basis point cut. That's totally fine, in my opinion. I'm totally fine with a 50 basis point cut to start off September. But I do think that we'll probably get a 50 in October as well. And then in December, it's questionable, right? Do we get the same 50 for a 150, or do we get a 25 for a 125? It's hard to say, but regardless, all we're looking for is rate cut decisions. That's it, because this will unlock the M2 supply to skyrocket even more. And if we actually look at this, Bravo's research put out a great post saying global M2 money supply is expanding rapidly. The last 2 times this happened, it triggered a massive rally on Bitcoin. This time is not different. And here we actually have that chart. And yeah, when we think about the M2 supply and we think about Bitcoin, we are going to start to see the M2 supply expanding even more. And it's already been a rapid, impulse to the upside already with the M2 supply. But if we go back to 2021, we have a lot more, supply to be released around the M2. which is why the dollar has been so bearish. It's why, you know, markets have been going crazy. So I'm looking at this from a zoomed out perspective. I think the next few months, you know, August will probably be a nice chill month. We'll still see a nice impulse, nothing too crazy, but September, October into December will be extremely bullish. And no, I'm not forgetting November. November will definitely be a good month as well. The entire fall timeframe, I do think, will be bullish. We'll probably run into, you know, the end of December into like the beginning of January. From that point, we really kind of determine if we are topped out or not. But overall, I'm very excited about the future for this market because right now, you know, things are telling us we should be very bullish. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord on the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.